everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a Q&A, and I know there was like a period where I did just do Q&As like all the time, but I really do strongly feel that a Q&A is long overdue because I have basically disappeared for a few months. I mean, I have been uploading, but so much has changed that I feel like I owe you something. First off, the background, you're thinking, Eve, where the hell are you? My parents moved house. I'll talk about this more in the vlog. So I'm in the spare room at my parents' house. That's why like the background is totally new and it's a little bit chaotic. That TV is coming down with me to London, so there's just like stuff everywhere basically. But I know you guys have got a lot of questions, and obviously I don't owe you answers, you know, I kind of share what I want to share. But I actually would like to just have a sit down chat with you guys really. But I just wanted to have a chilled sit down chat, so I'm not wearing any makeup. Like, I just wanted to just, as if we were just having a cup of coffee and chatting. So grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a cup of tea, grab yourself whatever, and I will answer your questions. Okay, so do you know what? I'm actually not going to be one of them YouTubers that like keeps the question that everybody wants to know until like midway through the video, just to keep up engagement and stuff, because I don't think it would be fair given that it was the vast majority of the questions, and it was, how did you meet your boyfriend? How did you go from being friends, being in a relationship? Like, what's the story in Balamori? All about that. And I just want to preface this by saying, like, Rob is never going to be on the channel in that capacity. We're not going to do like couples Q&As. I probably won't even have him that much in vlogs. Like, I don't want our relationship to kind of be on YouTube. Obviously I'm not gonna like completely hide it, because like we have been dating for a while now and it's kind of hard to hide it for reasons I will go on to explain in this video. But I just want to say, like, I don't ever see him becoming a staple on the channel. He doesn't really enjoy being on the camera. I don't really enjoy sharing things like that. I don't know why. It's just like, I feel like it's just like my private life, you know, and so I don't expect him to be like a regular fixture on the channel. You'll probably see him on Instagram and stuff, but yeah, we're basically, yeah, it's basically, we're never going to be a couples channel, so I'm sorry about that, but equally I'm sure that most of you will probably understand why. But anyway, the story of how we met is actually a really nice one, and I am quite happy to share that because like it is just a nice story, and I feel like I'm not like giving too much away there anyway. So basically I met Rob so by the way, I have a boyfriend called Rob. If you haven't watched any of my other videos, I felt like I might have just jumped into this with no context. He's great. So basically we met first week, Freshers Week is the first time I sort of saw Rob, but I didn't know him properly for a little bit longer. But basically they were doing a karaoke night in the bar, and I could hear somebody singing Piano Man by Billy Joel. You guys know I love Billy Joel, like aggressive amounts. And I could hear somebody singing Piano Man, and I thought, wow, they're actually pretty good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, obviously no Billy Joel or anything, but he's got a great voice. So I go over to the bar, and like there Rob is singing Piano Man, and I remember thinking, like, not that he was arrogant, but I did think, wow, he kind of fancied himself a little bit. I feel like Rob's gonna be watching this, he's gonna be like, okay, that's mean, sorry. But like I remember sort of not like, I've got a video of it on my phone. I probably won't put it in the video, but like I have got a video of it on my phone, and like, yeah, I didn't speak to him or anything that night, but I've just got a video of him singing Piano Man because I was kind of singing along, and like, yeah, so that was the first time that I met Rob, but we weren't friends or anything. We didn't speak, and he actually told me a few weeks ago that one of his friends messaged him and said, oh, like, you're in Eve Bennett's Freshers vlog, have you seen? And he was like, no, like, what do you mean, who is Eve Bennett? And his friend showed him the vlog that he's in. So if you go and watch my Freshers vlog, you'll probably find him in there. And he was like, okay, who is this freak like filming me and putting me in a YouTube video when I don't even know her? So I feel like the first impression was probably not the best, but like obviously didn't put him off too much. Anyway, so then the first time we properly met was actually in the Christmas holidays when I was staying in Oxford to help with interviews, and Rob was on the foundation year at the time. So Rob is the same age as me in year group wise. He's 2 months younger than me. Exactly 2 months younger than me actually, but like he was in the year below because he was on the foundation year, which is kind of a course that LMH do where it's kind of like a year pre the degree, and then you have to apply for the degree to get in. So he was also in Oxford doing his interviews, because he had to do the interviews for Oxford even though he was already studying there. Basically, I don't really know if I'm explaining this very well, but basically he was doing sort of a year pre-Oxford at LMH and then had to apply to do the undergraduate degree at LMH. So I was helping get interviews, but I obviously still had loads of work to do because it's Oxford, so I was in the library and with a few other interview helpers. He came in wearing his red hoodie. I remember he was wearing a red hoodie and like was looking for a book or something. I don't even know why he was looking downstairs, because that's the law section, but maybe there's music books there as well, I don't know. He studies music, by the way, if you couldn't gather from the whole singing thing. And yeah, like I think he knew one of my friends, and so came over and started chatting to her, and then we ended up chatting and I was like, oh hey, he's actually quite funny, and we just sort of chatted away for like sort of 45 minutes. And then I honestly can't remember really. We were just friends from that point. I don't really remember how that kind of happened. We were never in the same friendship group ever. Like at no point have we ever been in the same friendship group until this year, like when we've been like in the same flat, and the flat's kind of become the friendship group. But like in first and second year we used to meet up for like a termly spoons, and we used to complain about our respective love lives, and I never ever saw him as more than a friend, like seriously. And we were just really good friends. Like we'd always go out together, we'd always have a laugh, we always got on really well, and he's definitely been like my most constant friend throughout the whole of Oxford. Like other friendships have kind of drifted apart or come and go, but me and Rob have been friends since Christmas of my first year. And you know, like whenever I was in Oxford, like over the holidays, if he was there, we'd always meet up for a coffee, or like we'd always go out nights out together, or if we were doing something fun, like he'd be the first person that I'd text and be like, oh, do you fancy going to Bridge tonight? Do you fancy going to Fever tonight? And we always had such a laugh, and we used to drink so much. He can still drink me into the ground, so, but I just cannot drink as much anymore. Anyway, I'm getting so sidetracked, sorry, this is such a long story. But basically, yeah, so that's how we met. And we were just really good friends all the way through first and second year. I won't like put any photos in or anything, but like you've probably seen him in and around on my Instagram since sort of first year. Anyway, so yeah, we were really good friends, just got on really well, and then obviously COVID hit, and that was quite an abrupt end to my second year, and that was his first year because he was like on the undergraduate degree now. And we spoke a little bit over COVID. I went on my year abroad. And we just chatted sort of back and forth, like we just replied to each other's stories on Instagram and stuff. Do you know what I mean? He's one of those friends that I didn't need to like talk to every day, but we were just really good friends. So I went on my year abroad, and yeah, I never saw him as more than a friend at any point during this. I mean, he was in a relationship, like it was never like flirty or anything like that. If anything, I remember I used to complain like so much, like I've always wanted to have like a friendship that blossoms into a relationship, but I have no male friends that could possibly happen with. I even went on dates with like our mutual friends and his course mates and stuff, like, and Rob was never somebody that I looked at in that way. Like, when it gets interesting is sort of after COVID, I come back from my year abroad and we have to pick rooms that we want to live in final year. Now, bearing in mind, most of our friends had graduated by this point, because I was going into my fourth year, so most of my friends graduated while I was on my year abroad. And because Rob was on the foundation year, he kind of made friends in my year group mainly, and a lot of those had also graduated, and he was going into his third year, but he'd kind of stayed friends with the year above, if that makes sense. I feel like this is getting very confusing. So there weren't many of us fourth years left in college, and me and some of my language friends and like just other friends, there was 4 of us, and we picked the tower blocks that you've seen me live in this year. And there were 4 other spots, and we had no idea who were going to fill these spots. I thought honestly it would be some people from the year below, and I was like, you know what, that's fine. And then as the sort of ballot was filling up, because it's like a spreadsheet where people put their names in order, they sort of get put in a list. And then it was like, oh, Rob and his 2 friends who I'm also friends with and have been friends with since like first year, well, second year for me, but their first year, put their names down, and I was like, oh, that's great. Like, it's so funny because I was in Malaga at the time, and I remember so vividly saying to my friend that I was in Malaga with, oh, this is fantastic because I get on so well with Rob and Seb and Harry, but like obviously there's no chance of flat cess because I don't see them in that way at all. So it'll be nice to live with some boys for once, but it'll be so nice because there won't be any like drama or flat cess or anything like that. Yeah, I was wrong. Anyway, so fast forward to September, we were kind of chatting over the summer, but like we always chat all the time, so it was nothing new. And yeah, we met up for a coffee just before term started because he was in Oxford for like a singing thing, and I remember that day I'd met up with coffee, like for coffees with a few people, and this sounds really horrible, but like, you know, when like you're just meeting up with people and it is just quite draining, not in a horrible way, but you're like not that close to them, and you saw my social battery was basically running really low, and I thought, oh my god, I've got to go and meet Rob now, and I've literally seen like 4 people today, and I just want to go and watch some Netflix and go to bed. And and like, so then we met up for the coffee, and he had a flight at like, he had to leave to catch his flight back to Belfast at like 6, and we met for the coffee at 2, and we ended up just sitting and chatting for like that whole 4 hours. Obviously at the time it was still not in like a romantic capacity at all, but like I think then it was kind of like, oh, it was just so nice to see him and stuff. So then fast forward to October, and we're all living together in this flat, and it was just so like, it was just nice. Like for me, I really wasn't thinking anything of it, and we just get on really well. But we kind of do, like now looking back, it probably was more flanter than banter, like when we were kind of bouncing off each other, and we did argue, like, but in like a, not in like a hostile way. And obviously now looking back, and obviously all my flatmates were trying to tell me, was that that was definitely not just us butting heads, like that was me flirting with him. But at the time I was like so adamant that that wasn't happening. I was like, no, we just get on really well, like we just bounce off each other, like we're just friends, it's nothing more. And so the first couple of weeks of term, I think there was like kind of a bit of tension between us in that way, that I was just objectively not that I wasn't even like, I was denying it, like I just didn't even feel it. And all my flatmates were trying to like joke about it and stuff, and I was like, no, you're being silly, it's Rob, like it's Rob, like no, why would I ever see him in that way? Anywho, then by 3rd week, Rob asked me out like for a coffee, and he was like, oh, do you want to go for a coffee like sometime this week? And I was that, like, he was that friend zoned that I sort of went, oh yeah, like I'm a bit busy, but like I'll get back to you later in the week, like when I know when I'm free. I was just typing on my laptop, he came to the kitchen, and it was only like 3 hours later where I was like, wait, was this like a coffee, or was this like a coffee? Because obviously we've been out for coffees as friends and stuff, but he'd always kind of been in a relationship or like been with somebody, and at this point he wasn't in a relationship anymore. And I was sort of like, wait, like am I overthinking this? So I asked the girls thinking that they'd be like, no, you're totally overthinking this, like what could possibly be the problem? And then they were like, ooh, actually he might actually like you. And they were kind of saying like things that he'd kind of said, things that had come up in conversation. I was thinking, oh my god, Rob likes me like that. So naturally, in true Eve style, I completely panicked and basically just didn't ignore him, but like I didn't bring up the coffee, I didn't say anything, and I was like, oh my god, Rob likes me, like there's no way I could ever like him like that. And I was actively like against the prospect. And so it was from that point onwards was basically like not avoiding him for the next couple of weeks, but things did get a little bit frosty between us, because I think there was just the tension there between us, and neither of us were really acknowledging it. And so we did start like actually arguing, and we did have like a bit of an argument, and then we weren't really talking for a couple of days, and it actually bothered me so much. Like I wasn't myself, and I was like, why is it bothering me so much that things are a bit frosty between us? Again, still wasn't picking up on these signs, people, so that's how oblivious I was. Anyway, term keeps going, it's still there, like we're still, obviously like we got over that argument and we were kind of back to normal. Anyway, it gets to kind of like 6th or 7th week of term, and I am just so conflicted at this point, to the point where I wasn't really sleeping at times, because I just actually couldn't figure out whether it was just that we were really good friends or whether I did like him more, because I was like, it's Rob. And I remember really vividly saying to the girls, like, he's kind of everything I would want in a guy, he's got my sense of humour, we get on so well, but it's Rob. And that was my excuse for like 4 weeks, that it was Rob, so I couldn't possibly like Rob like that, because he's my friend and he's been my friend for like 3 years, and that would just be weird. And we do laugh about that all the time now, that I was literally like, yeah, he's everything I would want in a guy, but it's Rob, so can't date Rob. And then by 6th week, I think I was just like, my head was like everywhere, and it was just really unclear to me. Like I knew at this point that he did actually really like me. I'd heard it through the grapevine. When you live in a flat with loads of your friends, obviously the gossip is kind of there. But I was like no. And honestly, it got to the point where one night I'd be like to the girls, no, I do actually think I might like him, and then the next morning I'd be like, no, I was just going crazy, I was tired, I've slept on it, I'm fine. And I went back and forth like this for like 2 weeks, and like looking back, they told me that actually just drove them insane. And then it got to kind of 7th week, and I went to Harry Potter World with my mum and my sister, and they told me like, basically they told me the week after that all I did was talk about Rob the whole time, and that I told them, you know, Rob asked me out but I just don't see him in that way, and like I could never see him in that way, but apparently I just wouldn't shut up about him. And my mom did tell me like the next week when I was still umming and ahhing, she's like, I think you do really like him because that's all you spoke about for the whole evening. Anyway, the final deciding point for me was when I went to Birmingham to see Lizzie at the end of 7th week, and I remember getting really annoyed that he hadn't messaged me, because when he went up to Birmingham, we have a bit of a running joke that he like thinks Birmingham's a shithole, and when he went up to Birmingham to see his family who were coming to visit, I remember like we were kind of messaging and like joking about it and stuff, and I was like really annoyed that he hadn't messaged me with like a joke about how much he hates Birmingham, which is so stupid. And I remember saying that to Lizzie, and she was like, thank God for Lizzie, because without Lizzie this relationship would not have happened. Lizzie basically just gave my head a rattle and was like, you need to actually sort yourself out, like you obviously like him, you don't shut up about him, there's clearly tension between the two of you, why do you not just talk to him? And I was like, because I just don't think I see him in that way, I think maybe I'm overthinking things, I think maybe I only think that I like him but I don't actually. Typical Eve overthinking basically. And yeah, so Lizzie was like, sort yourself out and go and talk to him. I was still convinced that I wasn't going to talk to him. Sorry, I've just realised my shoulder muscles are like so high up. Basically, I've had a bit of a neck spasm, so if my neck looks really weird, that's why. Like my shoulders are just like up here, and I think talking about this is probably also not helping the tension. Anywho, sorry, this is the longest story ever. I really wanted this to be short. It's not been short. And then basically I got back from Birmingham, and I walked up the stairs and I walked into the kitchen, and Rob was the only person. He was just sat there with his cup of tea, and I remember thinking, like, I remember just this wave of happiness like washing over me, and I remember being like so happy that he was the only one there. And then I basically just realised like, oh God, Eve, you actually do really like him, because then I thought of all the late nights that we'd all spent in the kitchen and stuff, and I just thought the only reason I stay up so late would be to talk to him, and like the only reason that, yeah, I basically just realised that he was always the person that I kind of wanted to see. And when I was so happy that it was just him there, I was like, okay Eve, I need to talk to him now. So that evening it was our friend's birthday, and once everybody else had kind of gone to bed, and they all went to bed very clearly leaving us two to talk, because they knew that this was going to happen. So they were like, oh, we're all going to go to sleep, like good night. We were sat watching TV in the kitchen. So we kind of had a habit of like watching TV in the kitchen all together, and on the bench, like I would normally sit kind of up in the back corner, and Rob had sort of like lay down in front of me. It went from him like lying down in front of me to like lying on my feet to like basically the last couple of weeks like we had sort of been sat very close together, and I think people had kind of cottoned on. So we both fell asleep while we were watching Naked Attraction all together, and everybody else basically left. Thinking that we were asleep, I was still awake kind of, and I heard everybody go like, right, leave, let's leave them these two alone, because I think they knew that this conversation was probably going to happen. And so yeah, then basically we sat there for 4.5 hours just talking about random things, and then sort of falling back asleep, and then talking, and then kind of falling back asleep, and the silences were so long because I knew that I had to bring it up, but I actually was terrified. Like, I had a notification on my Apple Watch being like, your heart rate is abnormally high, and all of these different sorts of things, and I was just not, I was so scared. It took me till 5 in the morning to bring it up, and I basically just went, I think we need to have a chat. He was being so lovely, and he was saying stuff, and I kind of thought maybe he didn't like me at this point because I'd been going back and forth for so long. He'd probably just given up on me, and I basically just said, I think we need to have a chat. And he was like, about what? And I was like, you know what we need to have a chat about? He was like, no, I want to hear it from you. And I just sat there in like dead silence, and I was like, okay. And basically I just went to him, the coffee, and he was like, what? And I was like, the coffee you asked me out on a few weeks ago, please just start from there. And that's all I said. I didn't say anything about my feelings. And he basically just told me everything from his perspective, and was basically like, I really like you, and I think there's a connection there, and I've just wanted to tell you, but like I haven't been able to, and I've been kicking myself and like going to bed at night and just thinking like, why could I not say it to you? But I wasn't sure how you felt, and at this point I still wasn't sure how I felt. So I was this close to going, Tim, I don't feel that way about you, like let's just end this now, because I was so scared, because I'd never been in a situation like this before. Looking back, obviously the fact that I was so scared meant that I really liked him, but you know, your girl was a relationship newbie, and like this was just not how I saw my first relationship being like with Rob. Like if you'd have told me that in first year, I would have actually laughed in your face. But anyway, and so he basically just like told me everything from his perspective, and then I said, okay, I'm not sure how I feel still, and I think I do like you, but I equally don't know, like my head's just in a complete jumble. And he was like, let me just have one date. I think we should just go on one date and then you can decide. He told me, looking back, that he knew that he only needed the one date, basically. Very confident, but he knew that if he could just get me to go on a date, then I would finally come to my senses, and he was right. So we went on a date on the Monday night. We watched Bridget Jones because I said I didn't want to go out for dinner because we've been friends for so long. I just feel like it would have been weird to have gone out for dinner. Like I kind of just wanted to like do something chill. So I snuck into his room, and because we didn't really want to tell the flat about it initially. And yeah, we watched Bridget Jones and we kissed, and the second we kissed I was like, Eve, you are actually the most stupid person in the history of this whole world ever. Of course you like him. And we just fell together completely from there, and it's just been, we've been together ever since. We're dating for 6 months now, and it's been great, and it's been the easiest thing ever. It was so easy from the start. Obviously the bit leading up to it was not, but the second that we went on a date and I saw him in that way, I was like, Eve, you are so stupid. Like, how could you have even questioned it? And because we've been friends for so long, it was just the most like natural progression ever, and it's just been a dream, to be honest. So yeah, that was basically the story. I've just realised that was 20 minutes, but I feel like it's a nice story to tell, so I hope you enjoyed that very, very long rambly version. I've told that story a million times before, but it makes me smile every time I tell it because I really am grateful that it kind of happened the way that it did. And even though I was stupid and took ages to come to my senses and realise that I did like him in that way, I'm really glad that it kind of had the development that it did, because it meant that when we did end up together, it's just been great ever since, and we are just like best friends, and we were really, really good friends beforehand. So yeah, it's just like dating your best friend really, and that's the story in Balamory. So I hope you enjoyed that. The worst part is that it's an abridged version of the story, because Michaelmas term, let me tell you, the backs and forths were, there's too many to even tell. And so yeah, but that's the story of how we went from being really good friends to being in a relationship, and yeah, fun. Okay, let's move on to something else. So how are you feeling about moving to London? What are your plans in London? Basically, what are your post-uni plans? So I'm actually moving to London, hopefully on Friday, if they send the contract over. Don't even get me started on how difficult it has been signing for this flat. I started looking in May, and I found the flat in May, and it is genuinely near the end of June, and we still haven't sorted it. So yeah, it's been a bit of a ball ache. I am moving to Brixton. I'm moving to Brixton because I'm doing a journalism course in London, in Twickenham. And you might be thinking, Eve, why are you not moving to Twickenham? But Rob is actually doing a postgraduate at the Royal Academy of Music. He's doing a master's there. So we decided it would just be sensible financially, mainly. And also, like, obviously because we wanted to move in together. We lived together last year for the whole year, and obviously I don't think I would normally be the person that would move in with a boyfriend. Like, I never thought I would move in with somebody like 6 months into a relationship, but equally I think the circumstances have meant that we've known each other for so long, and we lived together for a whole year last year. And equally, because my course is a 9 to 5, and because his course is like a 9 to 5, if we were living across London from each other, we just wouldn't see each other at all. Like, there would just be no way. And equally, renting in London is expensive, and there weren't really any people that I knew that were moving down that I could kind of move in with, and I didn't really just want to live with new people, if I'm honest. And so we both just kind of thought, well, kind of makes sense to just live together. I probably won't be talking much more about it or anything, but yeah, I am moving in with Rob. We're living in Brixton, and we've got a really lovely flat that's kind of equidistant from the Royal Academy and from News Associates in Twickenham, which is where I'm doing my post-grad. Mine's only 6 months, his is a year, so I'm hoping that I'll find a job a bit more in Central after I've finished my post-grad. But yeah, that's basically the situation. I've got all my stuff packed. You'll be seeing moving vlogs and unpacking vlogs and all of those sorts of things in the next couple of weeks. Actually, the next vlog will probably be my moving vlog, which is very exciting, and when you're seeing this, I'll actually be in the flat, and hopefully I'll have the Wi-Fi to reply to comments. But But yeah, I was kind of reticent to share that I was living with Rob because I just feel like people are going to have their opinions, and that was why I didn't actually share our relationship for the first 6 months at all, because I didn't want online opinions to kind of jeopardize things or anything. I know that sounds so stupid, but like, because it was my first relationship, I didn't want any outside opinions at all to kind of influence anything, which I'm really glad that I did now. And as I said, I'm probably not going to share too much. This is probably the most I'll ever share in a video, but obviously I feel like it would be very hard to keep him out of the vlogs entirely and to like lie, and I just think it would be silly. So yes, we are living together. I am doing a postgrad in like an NCTJ in journalism, so to qualify and get the qualification that you kind of need to break into the industry. And yeah, we will be together, and hopefully it will go well, and hopefully the move will go smoothly. He's not moving in until August, so I'll be alone in the flat in July, but I am going to visit him in Ireland. He's from Derry, so I'm going to visit him in Derry for a couple of weeks in July. So yeah, I actually feel so stressed talking about this. I don't know why. I think it's just because I actually quite liked keeping it secret, but I also wanted to share it with you guys, but I also get so nervous about sharing it because I don't want people to just be mean and horrible and judge me, and so hopefully everyone will be nice. Please be nice, because I would really appreciate it if people could be nice. Thanks so much. Okay, bye. How are you feeling post-uni has been another question that everyone's been giving me. So basically my exams finished 3 weeks ago tomorrow, and it has just flown by. I haven't really done much, if I'm honest. I have basically been a bit of a vegetable, because I think the second I finished, my body just went and has just not really regained its energy levels since. But I'm feeling good. I was very sad when I moved out of Oxford. You'll probably see that in the vlog when I upload that, but I did cry for a long time, and I have been very sad about it. But I think it's kind of like a happy sad. I don't think I would want to be there for much longer, because my final year was amazing. It was definitely the best year of my degree, and I made such good friends. Obviously found a relationship as well, so it has just been an amazing year in that respect. So I think I was more sad about saying goodbye to kind of the people and just the vibe of like my final year. I don't think it's really hit me yet. I think I will probably talk a lot more about this when it's kind of hit me that I've got my results and I've graduated and stuff. But I'm not getting my results until the 11th of July, or like week beginning the 11th of July. And my graduation's not till the 29th of July, so I've got a little bit more time of kind of living in that I'm still an Oxford student kind of bubble. I think when the bubble bursts, I think it's going to be really hard, because as difficult as Oxford was for me, I did just have the best time ever. And so like, it was just the best 4 years of my life, even though it was also the worst time as well. And I think I will be very sad to not be going back there in October, even though I really won't miss the work. I will just miss obviously Lady Margaret Hall, I'll miss the city, I'll miss the people, and you know, like uni is obviously such a great time in the sense that you have a lot more freedom, and you know, you're not working a 9 to 5, not that you have to do that anyway, but I will miss it. And I don't think it's really hit me just yet. I think it probably won't hit me for a while, as I said, and I am mainly just excited to move to London at the moment. But I definitely will miss uni life, but thankfully a lot of my friends are in and around London, which is why I ended up picking London, because as much as I wanted to go to Manchester, like literally nobody was going up to Manchester and everyone was moving to London. I just thought socially I don't want to be completely isolated. So yeah, I'm mixed bag. Yeah, I'm feeling very weird about it. I think it's not really dawned on me yet because I've only been home for a few days, but I literally, my voice is breaking, I literally sobbed the whole way home in the car, just because I couldn't believe I was leaving. And when I handed in my keys, I genuinely like was like, here are my keys. I'm just like my voice just broke, and I just broke into tears. So it's been bittersweet, and I will update you on how I'm feeling once I've graduated and the bubble has well and truly burst, because I'm just living in a bit of denial at the moment, if I'm honest. Sorry if the angle has changed somewhat, my battery died. But the next question is, how is Jess doing, and would you consider getting a dog yourself? For those of you who don't know, Jess is kind of my family dog. You've probably seen her in videos and Instagram stories and stuff before. She's fine. She's just getting really old now, and you know, her legs are quite stiff. She's got arthritis, and she actually had a tumour which turned out to be cancerous, but they thankfully removed it kind of in time for it not to have spread. At least they don't think it has spread, so she's okay. She's just getting old, and she's really funny because in her old age she has become very demanding, and she is a bit of a diva. She knows what she wants. She's not gonna shy away from telling you how she feels. She's very vocal. I really missed her at uni, and I'm so glad that I'm back with her for a week now. We've been having lots of cuddles, I don't know, like, not to be morbid, but I don't know how much longer she really has left, so I am just trying to kind of enjoy my time with her because she is just my favourite, I was gonna say person, but like she's a dog, but you know what I mean, she's just my favourite in the whole world, and I've grown up with her and I love her so much. Would I consider getting my own dog? Definitely. Obviously not in my first couple of years living in London, because it would be very unfair to keep a dog in a flat without garden, but the second that I'm financially stable enough and have enough space to get a dog, it will be happening. It will definitely be happening, because I just think a dog brings so much love and warmth into a home, and I can't imagine like having not had Jess in my life, and she's just been such a support for me and I love her so much. So yeah, she's the best dog ever. So keep her in your prayers and pray that she lives a long and healthy life and enjoys her old age for as long as she can. The next question is the Meridian over? Sadly, yes, it is. The domain expired while I was doing exams, and I just realised that I really didn't have enough time to keep it up. As amazing as it was, I am looking at getting the website kind of preserved, if that makes sense, because I obviously want people to be able to access their articles. I am sourcing that at the moment, but when I'm sort of going into like doing an NCTJ, that's going to be 9 to 5, and with YouTube as well, I just don't know if it's really going to be manageable for me to do. We are looking at keeping the podcast going at least, but for the moment, yes, sadly it has been time to say goodbye. It's been an amazing couple of years, and the amount of amazing writers that have written such amazing pieces for the Meridian, and the amount I've sort of grown and learned from doing that and working with the amazing people that I have has been amazing. But sadly, I think it is time to say goodbye to the Meridian for now, at least. The next question is how has it been not going back to West Bromwich? So for those of you who don't know, my parents, I did mention this at the start of the video and I have mentioned it a couple of times, but my parents have moved. They've moved like to a village kind of near-ish Wolverhampton, which is where I actually am from. So it's actually quite far from West Bromwich. Not far, but like it is far, as in it used to take me 2 hours to get home from Oxford, and now it takes me nearer 3, just because it's kind of a bit more rural. Can you really call it rural? I mean, it is a village, and like it is in the middle of the countryside. It's in Shropshire, so it's not far from where I grew up, and Wolverhampton and West Bromwich are still very, very like close by. But I'm not gonna lie, like they're on a new build, like they're in a new build, and like this, like the estate is absolutely beautiful. It just feels like something out of The Sims, do you know what I mean? And I think having grown up in the city, it's just so quiet, and everyone speaks to each other, and everyone's very nice and friendly, and it's like a proper community. And it's just very weird, because as much as I love West Bromwich, like we literally lived like down the road from like a drug ring, and it just wasn't the nicest place, and you wouldn't go out after dark. And as lovely as the people were, like it wasn't really like a community. We had like the people that we knew, that we often spent a lot of the time in the local pub with, but it wasn't the same as here at all. And it's lovely here, it's just so weird for me. Like, I know I'm not coming back to live here, do you know what I mean? I don't have like a room here or anything. This is kind of the spare room. But it has been so weird, like being back and kind of being in the house that I think growing up I kind of always dreamt that we would live in, because at my school a lot of people came from these really nice villages kind of on the outskirts of Wolverhampton rather than from Wolverhampton itself. And like as much as I enjoyed growing up kind of like in the city and stuff, yeah, it's just very weird, because I always kind of dreamt that we'd live in like a big, very nice house and stuff. And I'm really happy for them that they've moved into a house that they've kind of always wanted. They've been saving for so long, and like they really do deserve it, and like they are very happy here and stuff. But it is just weird, because I kind of always wanted this growing up, and now it's kind of happened. And it was very weird because they kind of moved while I was at uni, and I obviously wasn't really at home this year. I was in Oxford the whole year, so I didn't really get to say like a goodbye to the house. And as much as I complained about the house, as much as I didn't like particularly enjoy like the downsides of living in West Bromwich, I sort of had grown up there. Like I spent 10 years of my life there, and it was very weird, because as lovely as this new house is, like it's not kind of the house that I grew up in. And so yeah, that was also very bittersweet. I think it was happening at a very busy period for me, so I didn't really have time to kind of deep it, and now I'm back, I am deeping it a little bit, but it's mainly happy emotions. But obviously like saying goodbye to the town that you kind of grew up in, as much as it was not the best place in the world for me personally, like I just didn't, like, you know, it wasn't like I don't want to shit all over West Bromwich, because like the people there are very nice and stuff, like, but obviously like yeah, it's bittersweet because I'm not gonna really miss the city that much, but I will miss it in the way that like I grew up there and I'm so familiar with it and stuff. Does that make sense? So yeah, mixed emotions with that too. It's a very big period of change at the moment, and honestly, I don't really think I'm processing much of it because so much has happened in the last 3 months. So I think just, yeah, get back to me on that one as well. Finally, the last question is, are you going to continue to practice / learn German and Spanish, or could you need it in the future? I think, obviously I want to keep them up. Like, I've not paid the amount that I paid and revised the amount I revised to like forget them. I am taking a complete month off all things languages, like, but I definitely am going to try and keep them up, whether that's reading books in the language or just listening to podcasts in the language. It is hard to keep it up, obviously, if you're not going to live in the country, but I would like to keep them as good as I can, because obviously they're very good skills to have if you're going into the journalism industry. Perhaps could do a placement abroad as a foreign correspondent, or work at a company that needs translations from German to Spanish. So yes, I am definitely going to try and keep them up. If you have done a languages degree and you have any advice on how to keep them up after uni when you're not studying them all the time, please let me know, because I can already feel it slipping, and it would be so sad to have worked so hard to get to the level that I got to, only to then forget it all. But obviously if you don't learn language very early on in life, that can happen very easily. So yes, please let me know. Anyway, oh my god, that was literally so much longer than I thought. I'm sorry the story about how me and Rob met was so long, but I actually just can't tell stories in a short way. Long story short, we were friends and then it turned into more than friends, but I feel like that's kind of boring, so I kind of did want to give you the full back and forth, in and out, whatever it was. So I'm sorry if that was too long, but I really did enjoy just having a chat with you guys. It's so nice to do this, and I definitely will do a couple more update videos after I've moved in, after I've graduated, when the dust has kind of settled, basically, because honestly at the moment there's so much dust in the air. Everything has changed. My parents have moved, I'm moving, I finished uni, I've just, yeah, I don't know, a lot is happening. And once I've kind of stopped to reflect, I will update you again. For a brief summary of this video, because I feel like it was very long, I just finished uni, my parents have moved house, I'm moving to London with my boyfriend, who I've been friends with for the whole of my degree, but only started dating 6 months ago, after a lot of back and forth and a lot of self-denial. Very happy with him, excited about the future, hoping that everyone will be nice in the comments, please. My fragile heart cannot take it at the moment. And yeah, that's about it really. So to conclude, lots has been happening, but in a good way. I'm very happy about everything that's happening, but also sad, but also happy. Lots of excitement, but lots of sadness, but also lots of happiness. Anyway, this has got very confusing and long. I'm gonna end this video here because I think I'm starting to lose the plot a little bit now with all the mixed emotions. As you can tell, it's a bit of a weird time in my life at the moment, but I really hope you enjoyed this chatty, ranty video. Let me know if you would like any more videos like this from me, what sort of vlogs you'd want in London, if you want sort of like day in the life, week in the life, moving vlogs, unpacking vlogs, decorating vlogs, I don't know. You let me know, and I will see you very, very soon with a new video. Bye guys.